All right. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We've got Derek Sorflayton doing a presentation on the evolution of SecureConnect. Derek's coming to us from the Mid-Atlantic. He's going to be following this up with a live Q&A. He's going to be reviewing the SecureConnect product line for the CENTERLINE 2100 MCC and how it can help address personal safety in the workplace, because personal safety is one of our top priorities right now. Want to let everybody know that we are being recorded. So if you could, please make sure that your mics are muted and then refrain from any background noise. And with that said, let's get the presentation started. Here's Derek Sorflayton.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody is safe and sound. My name is Derek Sorflayton. I am with the Rexel automation team out of Sparks, Maryland. Today, we're going to be talking about the SecureConnect and the CENTERLINE 2100 MCC, but I figured we'll go through a quick review. There's not a whole lot of slides on the SecureConnect. It's relatively self-explanatory, so we'll just do a quick run by some of the other features and benefits and options that are available with the 2100. So let's remember too that this will be recorded, so please hold off your questions till the end. We will make time at the end for that. Another thing to remember is a lot of the options that we're going to talk about today are also available in the Allen Bradley 2500 MCC, which is also for motor distribution, but that is the IEC version of that. This is the NEMA version. The CENTERLINE 2100 is the American version of that, which does keep in mind all the NEMA standards. Okay. So if I go to the onset of the MCC with intelligence, that was DeviceNet back in the day. Now everything's pretty much Ethernet, so you'll see IntelliCenter technology from time to time throughout the slideshow, and what that means, that just has an Ethernet backbone for all the intelligent devices, across the line starters, soft starts, variable speed drives, stuff like that. We'll also find out that this is a pretty consistent design all the way back from early 70s, but please be aware that the SecureConnect is only compatible with the Series P or later. So that is one of the gotchas there. I want to caution you with that. If you need an exact serial number and what date that is, please give me the faceplate value, nameplate value off your MCC, and we'll make sure that that is compatible. But otherwise, you could find yourself in a jam because the openings are not wide enough to take the pivoting of the stabs. So another design is the Arc Shield MCC. What that is a medium voltage. It's for the low voltage MCCs, but it also adheres to the medium voltage arc flash studies for type 2 accessibility. That means all the way around, all four sides. So that's another one that you may hear from time to time as we go across. So let's move forward on this one. Bear with us, it's a little slow, we're remote. I apologize. All right. So naturally, by the design, the 2100 MCC is electrically much safer than a lot of the other ones out there on the market. Like I said previously, for the operations of it, we do use NEMA products. The size 1s and 2s have a 10 million operation rate. They're not IEC NEMA rated products. They are truly a NEMA rated device. Also, along with that, you'll find that the service and maintenance that can be with the Arc Shield, that gets you a different safety factor, along with the IntelliCenter gets you to remote, and then we're going to talk about the SecureConnect, which eliminates power to the line side of the main disconnect, whether it be fusible or circuit breaker. Another nice thing about the Allen Bradley MCC is by design, it is inherently safe due to the fault containment. How it's structured, we have top and bottom plates on each bucket, as well as heavy-duty hinges on the door. We have dual side plates We don't share a single side plate, so just by the design of how this thing is manufactured, as the norm, as the standard, without any of the options, it is a relatively robust MCC, trying to maintain any of the arc flash events by containment and hopefully stopping them from cascading into other units. So this slide here just talks about some of the integral parts of the MCC as it is as a whole, right out of the factory without any of the options that we're going to talk about here. Power is in a centralized location. Basically, it's a combination starter with a disconnect to help with maintenance and keeping things up and running. We mentioned it's a UL and NEMA MCC. We talked about the fault containment, consistent design, backwards compatible. I did do the caveat of that to make sure it's a Series P or later. Automatic shutter, so as the unit's removed, the vertical stabs are automatically closed. Horizontal isolation, obviously, for the KAIC rating you have, and there's no control or power terminals in the wireways, which also helps with the isolation. All right, this is Rockwell's approach to electrical safety. This basically goes to the three designs I was telling you about. The arc flash containment, which is going to be the arc shield. That's the top one we talked about. That's the medium voltage criteria that it meets. Even though it's a low voltage, it's a type 2 accessibility, all four sides. Then we can talk about the IntelliCenter. That's the one we talked about that's going to have an Ethernet backbone for all the intelligent devices. So what that will do is that will help with remote monitoring and troubleshooting to keep people out of the arc flash zone and minimize risk. Now today, what we're going to talk about is the bottom one, and that's going to be, that's going to be the SecureConnect. So what this is doing is allowing safe interaction with the MCC by removing the line side power of the fuse disconnect and or the circuit breaker. We talked about that. Just because you have the handle off, that does not mean that the top of the circuit breaker or the fusible disconnect is cold. It still has hot wires being fed from the stabs that are plugged into the vertical bus. Right here is more of how the designs are to help minimize risk and exposure. You can see that the intelligent motor controls, that's for remote operation, diagnostics, we talked about that. It can be pre-configured, static switches, IP addresses already in there, the network is tested and certified. You go down to personal safety features, that's what we're going to talk about today, which is going to be the SecureConnect. You can see the categories it helps with: remote operations, reducing risk and accidental contact. So all of these, including the arc shield, which is the last one, all of these are designed to keep safety in mind and keep the personnel out of the arc flash zone, or at least minimize the risk if they do have to be in there. All right, so as promised, today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the CENTERLINE 2100 SecureConnect. This is the latest in the personal safety devices they've come up with, but it also is very important, and we do have some municipalities actually making this their standard. So it is becoming a very hot item. Once people get a hold of it, they see it, they realize that an operator or a maintenance technician is possibly working on a unit that still has live voltages in there. They're finding this as a new technology that will help ensure the safety of their employees and minimize risk. All right. So how this is done. What this done is it's addressing all the governing bodies, the NEC, NFPA 70, IEEE. They've recognized this arc flash boundary in live equipment. They've done all the studies on that. They've talked about the calorie counts. So they do understand what's going on in the exposure that personnel are getting to dangerous voltages, and they are understanding the opportunities for someone to get hurt or an incident to occur that would cause catastrophic event to not just the person, but the equipment as well. So they are proactively addressing these hazards. Like I said, they're trying to take some of the medium voltage criteria and plug it into the arc shield MCC, and now this is another way to help isolate the unit itself from any type of live power within the MCC bucket itself. All right, so now some of the benefits of this, obviously it's removal of power from the stabs, so there are no live electrical parts in that bucket at this point in time. There's also a remote operator that allows you to work outside the flash zone. We'll get into how this is operated in the next couple slides. There is a 1/4-inch hex key that must be turned, whether it be locally or remotely, but there's a third-party manufacturer who is helping us with that, and I'll get you that information later on. But all of this is helping to further mitigate the risks of arc shield exposure and or catastrophic events putting you in harm's way. There's also a multi-point validation in the front of it. There's a limit switch, and there's some continuity testing that can be done for those of us who like to be a little not trusting sometime, but also a little more cautious than others and not just take its word for it. There's a validation point, and our third-party vendor, CBS, does have a tester for that as well. So it does help with the compliances to the NFPA 70E section 110.3. Okay, what this is saying here is that it's higher reliability, meaning downtime is minimalized because you are able to work on a unit without having to shut the entire MCC down. It is intended to try to eliminate the downtime, if not lessen the downtime by troubleshooting electrical faults safely with the SecureConnect, as well as any other methods or lockout tags out procedures that your facility may have. I do always say that please make sure this is not, we are not telling you what the safety procedures, PPE gear are. We're just letting you know that we feel that in some instances, this may help eliminate some of the training and some of the gear that may be required. But as always, please use your own guidelines and lockout tag out procedures. Okay, please. I always start with that. That's certainly up to the plant's discretion and the individual's discretion. Okay, I talk about minimal impact on design. It says it does not impact space factor units. It does not make them grow taller, but there are a couple caveats I want to put within that. There's some limitations. They are not available. SecureConnect is not available on half space units. It's also not available on dual units, and that's the reason because of obviously mechanical space. Okay. Another one to remember is anything over 180 amps. What that has is that puts it into a dual stab type of situation. So we do not have the technology yet to have a SecureConnect on a dual stab. So there's 3 things to remember. So if you put an MCC line up together, you may end up having some that are and some that aren't, depending on what your elevations are and some of your current ratings. So there are three reasons that you may not be able to get a SecureConnect on your MCC bucket. Okay. So, all right. So how does this work? It's got 2 sets of shutters. Okay. When you operate the 1/4-inch hex key device in the front, it will remove the power from the stabs from the vertical bus. And when they are removed, 2 shutters will close. There's also an automatic shutter on the MCC itself, so that when you remove the bucket, the vertical opening stabs are automatically closed as well. So what this does is it tries to make sure that there is no opportunity for anything to jump in between the stab removal device mechanism as well as the vertical bus mechanisms. And there are contacts and a limit switch provided, like we had said before, to help indicate that the shutters are closed and that the stabs are removed. And I think this next slide will give us a little bit. Yeah, that shows you the stabs in the closed position with the shutters closed. And this slide here does give you shows you the continuity devices and what you would measure from the front on those test ports. This is to help ensure that you know that all the stabs are fully retracted. They've all made contact with those devices, and that you can get a complete circuit to help verify A, that the shutters are closed with the limit switch, and B, that the stabs are fully retracted through a continuity test. So, and that's one of the good things about that device on the front. You do not have to take the quarter turn device's word for that these stabs are removed. And next, I think we have a video that's going to give you a little better insight behind the scenes, sort of a 3D modeling, and hopefully give you a better idea how this works with the 1/4 inch tool in the front and how we access that. So let's see how this goes.
The newest option for CENTERLINE 2100 motor control centers, SecureConnect, helps enhance personal protection from electrical shock and hazardous voltages. With SecureConnect, you can disconnect the unit from the line control and network power without opening the unit door, helping reduce exposure to the main bus and electrical hazards. Removal of the SecureConnect unit is simple and safer. First, turn the unit disconnect handle to the off position. This raises the actuator port window, which allows you to insert a standard socket wrench. Next, simply turn the wrench a 1/4 turn and the unit stabs will be disconnected from the vertical bus. As the stabs disconnect, they rotate up and into the unit housing. At this point, the unit power stabs, control, and network wiring have all been disconnected. All of this while the unit door is closed. To help increase electrical isolation, 2 sets of shutters close in front of the stabs, one set on the unit and the other on the vertical bus cover. A limit switch is also provided to indicate when the shutters are closed and that the stabs are not interfering with the closing of the shutters. A status indicator light on the front of the SecureConnect unit changes from red to green to inform the operator that the unit has been disconnected from the vertical bus. You can also verify the electrical power is disconnected using the test ports in the front of the unit. The limit switch verifies that the shutters are closed properly, while the continuity check verifies that the stabs are fully withdrawn into the stab housing and in a safe position. At this point, you can continue to follow your safety procedures to work on the unit without having power inside the unit. With SecureConnect in your CENTERLINE Motor Control Center, you can help enhance your overall electrical safety program.
All right, so that gives you a little bit of better view on how the whole process works and what the intentions are. But getting back to the bare basics, what the MCC has, right out of the gate, obviously you have the lockout tag out. You have a 3-pad lockable slot for the main disconnect. And please make sure you use your lockout tag out program to ensure that it is used correctly and everyone is using it safely. That it's not really a very good program if not everybody hears by the rules. It sort of defeats the purpose. So let's see what the next one here we got. This is a little more detail of what the video shows. If you look at number 1, there's a that's sort of a repeat of power stabs and stab shutter status port. But if you'll notice item number 2, what that does is that you pull that pin out and put a padlock in there, and even if the disconnect's off, it will stop anybody from being able to engage those stabs. So that's another level of safety in there. And of course, they showed you the 1/4 inch hex operating tool port, but I didn't want to spell out the additional lockout mechanism for the stabs so that even if it is off, no one can come by and arbitrarily connect the stabs to the bus. Okay, some of the interlocks that they were talking about, you have the stab withdrawal interlock. It stops the stabs from being disconnected while the operator is on. And of course, then along with that, you have the SecureConnect access port that cannot be accessed while the power is on as well. One item that is defeatable is the insertion and removal interlock, and that is helped prevent the insertion tool while the stabs are in the connected position, but that is defeatable in case there would be a problem. You still can get your unit removed or installed. Okay, we talked about this CBS ArcSafe company. They do supply a couple different versions of the device. It's a motorized device that will turn that quarter-inch hex port or switch, disconnecting and engaging the bus stabs. It's two different types. One of them is a tethered one with a 25-foot cord. I think it's available in multiple lengths as well. You'll see the testing tool down there with it. And then on the right-hand side, you see they have a wireless one. So if you want to be completely removed and not have it tethered, you can do it remotely wirelessly. And like I said, you can see the test tool that's there. And I think there's a better picture here. Not the best, but the center one there, you can see where they're using a remote operator. It's on the left, and then the device itself that's mounted on the door, that's going to do the work. And you'll see the cable that goes up to the test ports to make sure that once that device is activated, it does verify that the shutters are closed and that the stabs have been fully removed from the vertical bus. Again, that's a third-party CBS. So I guess my question is for the next webinar, would you like to go through any more detail on the ArcShield MCC or the IntelliCenter MCC? I'd be more than glad to do another program or webinar on those. But in the meantime, if you all have any questions, please reach out.
All right, thank you, Derek. So we'll open the lines up now if anybody has any questions. I do not see anything coming through the chat right now. While we're waiting for that, one thing I do want to talk about multiple times, Derek mentioned ArcFlash and Lockout Tagout. These are services that Rexel can provide. So if you need these procedures either updated or created for your facilities, please let either myself or Noel know. Noel that is right there in the California market, and then myself in the Mid-Atlantic. And with that said, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. All right, looks like no questions at this time. So Derek must have done an amazing job covering all the subject matter. So with that said, oh, let's see if we got something coming through on the chat here. So, all right. What year, Derek, what year was the P series made and available?
Yeah, that goes back to like 2000, I want to say 13. That's when this first came about. So there is an exact serial number, not just the series, but there's also an exact serial number that has that. I do have that somewhere, but I usually caveat it with just the Series P. If we need to get a little more detail, just take me a picture of the nameplate that's on the vertical wireway, and I'll have that serial number pulled, and we'll confirm or deny that it is eligible for a retrofit for the SecureConnect.
Okay, Derek, thank you. We got another one coming in. How does the remote disconnect device mount to the MCC?
It's got a couple clips where it grabs on there. It's pretty robust. I've seen it I've only had one purchase through our branch, but I have seen it at the automation fair. Most people do not buy it. It's pretty expensive. It's actually very salty if you want the truth of the matter. But a lot of the pharmaceuticals and stuff, they like to have that. And of course, pharmaceuticals have pretty deep pockets, so it's not a question of whether they can afford it. But unfortunately, there's no real good pictures out there. I can try to find a video of it. But yeah, there's a couple grips that it hangs on there too, and then you insert the hex key.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions coming through? All right, everyone. All right, Derek, thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. Join us next week as we'll go over the power quality improvements with the Rockwell disk system. All right, everyone, thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.